Hey traders, Nick Sheen here looking at Lulu. So I heard a discussion of it on CNBC and I thought I'd opine on it. They One person says a lot higher to go, some other people think otherwise. So this is a daily chart, obviously a constructive chart. It should be about a year worth of data. Still above, year to date is still pretty impressive. And I see, just without looking at anything else or touching anything, I can see some pivot points. Like the one that sticks out is this one right here, somewhere around $160 a share. Something happened to where it was resistance, failure point, and then they flipped above it and have used it. The bulls have used it as forward support. Obviously, they haven't retested it except for here, arguably, and maybe you can say these two as well. So what now? Do I chase it? Do I not chase it? So for the same reason this was a pivot point, this is a pivot point right here. This was a failure. I could consider this one as a failure, and here they are at it again. Yeah, they went above it, but they're back below it. So usually when this happens and they go above a test, a pivot point, the onus is on the bulls to prove that they can use it as forward support. Going above it and closing above it is not good enough. You have to hold it and use it as a constructive platform to spring to higher levels. So here they went above it, it being 195 and change, but they failed to hold it. And here they are, Monday, the 23rd of September. They are toying with going back above it again. So let's call it 195 and change is an important point. So can I get any information on that? Can I get any tradable information on that? Well, it all depends on my time frame. So I can guarantee you that it's not a cheap stock, fundamentally speaking. So if you're a fundamental trader holding it for the long term, then this shouldn't change your mind. It's 46 PE and 7.5 times sales. It's more expensive than Amazon in my opinion. Yeah, the PE on Amazon is a little bit higher, but Amazon sells at 3.4 times sales. This is almost 8 times sales. So Amazon is growing, so is this one. I am impressed with how they manage their perception. They did have a few problems and they overcame them. So fundamentally, I can't short it based on the fundamentals. It is expensive, but it's not a reason to short. It's a growth stock. So that aside, so if I'm holding the stock for the long term, this whole discussion is really a waste of time. Here we're trying to see if there's a tradable event or tradable information. So to see if I should chase it up here or short it up here as a trade. Okay, so as an investment, I'd either hold it for a long term or sell puts down here and let time, erode the put premiums, and I'll just gain without any rallies. So, but that's a different conversation. So here, I see that it has lower highs, higher lows coming into a point, so something's going to happen soon. When, let's zoom in, I think I can come down to 240, maybe. I'm trying to find a time frame that would give us information. All right, so this is somewhat of shorter time frame information that we can talk about. All right, so this is 2-hour candles. Each one of these is a couple of hours. I can see clearly that there is a pivot line right here, and it's not a coincidence that this happened back here. Okay, so this, I would consider this one a failure. They got back to it. They won it over around an earnings event, and onus is on the bulls to prove that they can bounce above it, and they bounced twice. What is it? It being 188 to round numbers. Okay, the problem is they're doing it from lower highs. And now we have a sharp line around 196-ish, 195. So the first actionable zone is right here. So technically speaking, I would put an alert above this failed, 195, 6, 7, wherever I'm comfortable, picking a line, and chase it. And this would be another test. So this, by definition, will be R if this happened. If this happened, this would be resistance. Now the converse, if the bears are able to do this, then this gap becomes a vulnerable spot. This right here is that orange line is the bottom end of the value area. So this is where bulls and bears fought it the hardest, this range. So the bottom end of it usually is support. So if this fails, I would probably sell puts and put spreads for the short term into it. So this is how I would catch the falling knife, so to speak, especially if there's no earnings coming soon. Or I would buy the dip because I know there's going to be support. It's going to be market dependent, so it's going to need the help of the market. So right here, just from the shorter time frame, I can draw a box and chase a breakout of either sides of it. 196 plus. So you say, what about everything in between? Well, it all depends on time frame. That's what I started saying. So let me see. On the 5 minute, I can get another smaller box, which would be right here and right there. So those would be 195.80 and 194.90 something. So it all depends on how fast a trader we are. On this time frame, it tells me that little dips will be bought. So the question is, will they be able to break above it? So again, here I would put I'm going to do it right now. I'll put a trade alert to tell me to, hey, pay attention to Lulu. I forgot the stock we're talking about. It might be breaking out. So right here would be only this little peak here, which was a tremendous fail. That 3 or 4%, tremendous, because this is 5 minute candles. So anything in between, about a half hour candle, same information. So a half hour candle really tells me that, look at this, it's pretty tight for a pretty long time. Again, long in relative term. It's a half hour candle, each of these. But look at this. I mean, this is a market failure, a notable failure zone. And this is same zone-ish if I split it in half, and this is pretty impressive. So it's obviously important, whatever is going to go on here. Onus is on the bulls to break out of it. And it kind of looks like an inverse head and shoulders. Not perfect, but there is a neckline that the bulls are trying to break through, and if they do, then they rally about this much. So they get the chance to retest this poke right here and this collection of pokes right here. So again, same zone we were talking about on higher time frame. And this will bring back that same vulnerability we were talking about here. So is there a vulnerability on a daily chart again? Let's go back to 1 day. Sure. But there's a huge gap down here, but a lot has to happen for us to go down there. First, there'll be this failure at the lower time frames that we looked at, and then this one, and then that one. This is nice double bottom, so it will take a lot to break through it, and I think the market will be also in trouble unless they have some sort of a headline. They don't report until early December, so I have the chance to sell some puts or put spreads in it if it dips. So that's the plan on Lulu, and that's how I would look at it. You can't just look at one chart and decide it's time to buy or not buy. This is a weekly,